I am popping on live really quickly. Again, I have not yet been able to unpack our big computer, so filming a video and editing is just not going to be a thing for us right now. I want to say us, I mean me and myself and I and you, the viewers. So we're doing the live thing for a minute. I have not even checked my face to see if I have stuff anywhere. It's been a whirlwind of a season. And I feel like I have said that numerous times, and something clicked in my brain just recently. Okay, let's talk about it. Amy over at Carnivore's Angel, she posted a couple of videos. Did an interview with Dr. Boz. She then went to a not a summit. I don't know what it was called over in Idaho. Was it Iowa? Iowa. She went over, she learned more stuff and things, and then she came back here onto the YouTubes and did live and talked to us about it. While I was in the midst of unpacking, I had her in my little ear canals here, and I was listening to the things she was saying. And as she was talking through it, it it just drew up all of those old memories of what life was like back in 2016. I feel like I'm a little bit wonky here. Um, 2016, when I dropped my largest amount of weight, I felt my healthiest. I felt the least inflamed. I had just the most vitality happening in my life. And I had to go back and think through that. What was I doing? What was I even doing in 2016? I wasn't on YouTube yet. But I tell you what I was doing. I was doing high fat, moderate protein, low carb, like the quintessential keto diet. I was eating probably 75% of my calories as fat, probably about 20-ish percent of my calories as protein, and about 5% carbs. That's where I was. I was doing the keto diet and I felt amazing. My inflammation was gone. I have a TMJ disorder. I don't have a sufficient amount of cartilage in my body, and inflammation causes things to go way worse for me. And so Amy goes through, says all the things, and I'm going to pause right there because I see people are coming aboard and saying hello. Hey, Briar Rose. Um, and Judy, hello, you're in New Mexico. What part of New Mexico? We used to live in Keyenta, Arizona, which was just, close enough to the Four Corners. Caroline, hello from Ohio. Hello from Ohio back to you. Oh, my AirPods are failing me. Can you hear me? I would love to get feedback on whether or not you can actually hear me. And then Briar Rose, this way of eating, you can drink heavy cream. Albuquerque. We would definitely drive through Albuquerque to make it back to Texas. Welcome, Brenda from Maryland. So Briar Rose, coming back to your point about the heavy cream. As you may or may not know, I cut out, oh, thanks, Brenda. Y'all can hear me. Good, excellent. Thank you. And I just lost my train of thought. My brain has been a bit foggy. Oh, Kimberly in Oregon. Where in Oregon? Vivian, you wish you would have gone to Pella and seen Dr. Boz. You're in Des Moines. That would have been pretty cool. Des Moines not that far, is it? What else? Oh, thank you, Keto Hunter. I appreciate Hunters. I appreciate that. Okay, so Briar Rose, thank you for getting me back on track. I cut out dairy for a while because I thought that I was struggling with dairy. It was, oh, okay, just out of Salem. We lived over in Fairview, which was near Gresham, which was to the east of Portland. Litchfield Park, Arizona. Welcome, Sylvia. I was starting to struggle with feeling inflamed again, feeling like I had water retention again. And I thought it was the heavy whipping cream. I thought it was the dairy. I thought it was the cheese. I thought it was all of these things, right? And a piece of the puzzle that I totally neglected is the fact that I personally think in variables, but I kind of get absolute on the equations and think that, oh, well, this one variable is not actually a variable. That's a constant. Like, that's legit. That can't be a variable. So we're just going to pretend like that one is perfection, constant, not moving.
but these over here are my variables. And I got it in my head after I had a breast reduction surgery back in July of 2021. And I was not hungry at all post-op, but I needed to eat protein in order to repair and restore and all of that jazz. And before that, I had kind of already started to track down the more carnivore, ketovore-ish way of eating. I had been doing that for a while, but still keeping my fat substantially high for what a true like carnivore would be. And I just found myself always craving meat, always feeling satisfied with beef, always just feeling like, oh, this is it, this is clutch. Animal meats are where it's at, high protein, where it's at. I'm feeling optimal. What I did not realize is that as I was doing that, things changed. My brain function seems to have diminished. I usually can recall things very quickly. I usually have like a very, very fast mind, yet I was struggling to remember things. I was having to go back and remind myself, what was this word, the word I was looking for, or am I looking for a different word? It was just kind of a weird thing. So I have had my surgery in July last year, and I was told you need to eat high protein while you're in recovery in order to repair your incisions and allow your body to get back to normal. Fantastic, did that. I felt super lean at that point in time, and I felt like I was at the top of my game. I didn't need the pain pills like I thought I was going to post-op. I think I may have only needed them for a few days, and then we like weaned me off completely. I have kind of like a mental thing about pain pills and how much I just don't like A, being on them. I don't like what I feel like, but B, I have a very high tolerance for pain, and the pain is never as bad as I feel while I'm taking meds. And I just never want to go down the path of potential addiction because I do have an extremist personality. So know thine own self, right? So I go through, I gotta see how many minutes I've got left, just a few. Okay. I go through and I'm starting to feel awesome on protein, awesome on protein. My body is craving protein. That should have been a real big indicator. I was going through having, 150 grams of protein a day on average. Some days I would get 250 grams of protein. Some days I would only get 100. But for the most part, I was trying to average around 150 grams of protein. I figured I need about 1 gram of protein per pound I currently am, or my desired body weight. And my typical, like, comfortable body weight is right around 150. And I was maintaining beautifully, maintaining. I felt like the cells in my body were not inflamed. I wasn't feeling like I held on to the water. I wasn't feeling like I was struggling with very many things. And then this past spring, like late winter, spring comes about, and I had decided, you know what, I am gonna cut out the dairy because I'm starting to feel the tension in my jaw. I'm starting to feel the inflammation where my rings are. I'm starting to feel a little bit swollen. And as I'm going through thinking those things, it's gotta be dairy. It could never, ever be the meat. It could never be the meat. So I'm going through doing all those things. We go through on a couple of trips. We went to Scotland, we went to South Carolina, we did all that. We bought this house, closed on it wicked fast, got into the house as quickly as possible, got the old house sorted out for its next steps. And so it's a lot of stress. And I've mentioned before, this is like good stress. This is exciting. Going on trips is super fun for me and my husband. Taking our family to go visit other family, going and doing things, changing it up for us. We like this. We like this kind of stress. It's exciting for us. And so I assumed like, oh, it's just good stress. That's why, and I've just been off my game. I haven't really felt like I've been in the groove of our rhythm, our regular routine kind of a thing. It's just felt kind of off because of all of these things happening. Never once did it occur to me that protein could possibly be my problem. Never once, not in a million years. I would sit there and try to like scout out the biggest chunk of chicken, the biggest piece of beef, the most volume of meatballs that I could consume. Where is it? Where is it? More meat, more meat. And like I said, that should have been a very serious clue to me. If I'm craving the meat this intensely, there's a problem. here. And so listening to Amy the other day do her live when she came back from Iowa, talk about the things that she was discussing, it was like I had her in my ears while I was unpacking and doing the things. And she talks about how Dr. Boz tells her over and over again, you just got to up the fat and drop your protein. And I'm like, protein is Optimus Prime. It's the thing. It's the one. I'm sorry. My neighbors have an excavator over here right now, and that is very distracting. Refocusing. I'm just like, protein is my friend. Beef is I'm a Texan. We do beef. We do big giant longhorns. We do beef. And so listening to Amy say the things, I'm like, and it starts to dredge up all of those memories from 6+ years ago. It was like 6.5 years ago when I felt amazing. What was I doing? I was doing like 75% fat. That's what I was doing. I cared about protein. I did, but I cared more about how many carbs am I getting and how much fat am I getting. So I have kind of gone down the rabbit hole, or I've jumped the track. Let's use the train analogy because I think that might work. I jumped the track I was on, it got switched, and I decided I'm gonna head down the protein path because it tasted amazing. It drew me in, it made me want more of it. And yet, here I am, foggy brained. And so Amy is sitting there, you know, like espousing, this is what, you know, Dr. Boz is talking about. This is what she is doing now. And I was like, dag nabbit, I had done it. I had done it well in the past. I thought about, why did my egg fast work so well for me? It's because I was eating almost a cup of fat a day, like just straight fat. What? That's where it's at. I have been neglecting what I know worked well in the beginning for what feels good now. And I don't know, I am a believer, I am a Christian, and one of the scriptures that is at Jeremiah, the heart is deceitful above all else. Basically, your feelings are an indicator, but that doesn't make them fact. And my feels were, I just feel like protein is right. I just feel like protein is amazing. I must have the protein. Yet, I have had more inflammation recently, and I thought it was stress related. So I thought it was like, oh, dairy back in my life. What is happening? Are we back? Anybody? I know I've missed a few comments, but if I could get anybody. Oh, okay, thanks, Briar Rose. Phew, I'm gonna go back to the comments here in just a minute. But I went off the train. I did, I think I glitched. And we're back, okay. So I jumped track because it felt better to eat protein. And now after listening to Amy for a little bit and remembering and just going back into the archives of my mind, I feel like fat is where it's at. I need to go back to the way it was before. I need to drop my protein and just try this out. I'm not saying that I'm gonna do this permanently. I'm not saying anything of that sort. I'm not saying I drop the protein 100%. I am saying I'm gonna reverse myself back to what I was doing in 2016 when I felt like I was Iron Man. That's what I'm doing. So I've only had a few eggs today. I've had some pork rinds. I've eaten cheese. I have done all of that. I wanted to also say my weight has not changed. It hasn't. My weight has stayed perfectly steady. The piece that has changed is that where I once was feeling like a tight drum, especially in my midsection, it now feels a little bit like Jell-O. Oh, my timer is done. Let's set it for 5 more minutes. I'm a timer person, otherwise I just whoop. So it's like my composition of my body has adjusted in a downward trajectory and my brain feels foggier. It's just all of a sudden, coming back to me. I feel like it's all coming back to me now. Okay, so I want to respond to some comments here. and see what's happening in y'all's commentary, because I know y'all are I hope y'all are understanding me. All right, Briar Rose has a low pain tolerance but doesn't like the drugs. Tough it out. Kimberly 100% did the same after your cancer surgery. Yeah, they tell you protein, and I wanted to hear protein because that's what that's what I love. I love protein. Brenda, smash that like button. Yes, thank you for that. Briar Rose, good stress and bad stress has the same effect on our body regardless. Yes, absolutely. When you're on a train going full force, it's hard to throw the switch, Briar Rose says. I do agree with that. It was from Jeremiah. Yeah, and I did have a weird glitch situation. Hopefully it's not cutting in and out. Kathy, you have had the same revelations along with Amy and myself. You feel like you're on the exact same path. You've been ketovore for years, suddenly not feeling, or you've been feeling inflamed. Couldn't figure it out. Yeah. Okay, Judy, am I back? Am I back? I hope so. We'll just keep scooting forward. Kathy said going back to keto basics here too. Yeah, that's where I am. Yes, Vivian is mentioning this. Dr. Boz's first book is on Kindle Unlimited, and that's where I'm reading it right now. I'm already halfway through, and I want to know desperately what happens to Grandma Rose. It's Any Way You Can is the name of her book. I don't know if I'll be able to go back and link it on this video. Good afternoon, Sherry. Caroline is also going back to higher fat. My problem, I will say, about going back to higher fat for me is the fact that I can literally house a 3-pound package of bacon in a day and feel amazing. Like I love the protein that's in that. I mean, each slice of protein has like 5 grams, or each slice of bacon has like 5 grams of protein. So if I were to do that, that's an insane amount of protein. Right now, I want to say I need to be at about 65 to 70 grams of protein if I am following the Dr. Boz method of converting your weight to kilograms and then doing that amount as grams for protein. Let me come back here. La la la. Okay, Briar Rose. Protein feels stable, but a while back you felt that everyone was leaving fat in the background, and then boom, Amy said all this. Yes. Kathy, you think going overboard on PSMF affected the inflammation too? You are absolutely right. I did the same. Like that's what I did. I went through and was like, protein, more protein. Oh, did you say protein? I love protein. It's the best. And look, I can make it turn into bread, and it's amazing. And look, I can make it turn into pie, and that's amazing. And look, I can turn it into rolls that can turn into sandwiches, and those are amazing. And what can I put on those sandwiches? I could put more protein. That's what I can do. I can just, all the protein. And the piece that was, I also bought into the concept that gluconeogenesis, where your liver converts protein into glucose, I bought into the idea that that is something your body does when there's no other fuel. Whenever your body is just like desperate for fuel, your body isn't going to go through that whole process of gluconeogenesis when it could more easily use the glucose in your bloodstream or use ketones. And I'm like, okay, so protein gluconeogenesis, there's such a low probability that I'm actually committing that to my body right now or within my body. There's no way. I'm fine. I don't think I was fine. And I think I've been spiking my insulin, and I have not been checking my insulin. I have not been checking anything because I clearly know better. I can trust my feels. No, I can't. My feels keep telling me to eat more protein. TJ93, you're going back to high fat, low carb. Yeah, let's reignite that. I feel like there's probably a subset of the quote unquote diet community that has stuck true. Oh, and there goes another 5 minutes. Dag nabbit. Stuck true to the whole high fat, low carb, moderate protein. I think that has been a real thing. But I also think that we have all gotten distracted a little bit with this PSMF thing and what kind of cool things we can do. And I love to create things. I love to say, what more could I do? What things could I do differently that would be wicked exciting, that could be super cool? Like, let's reshape the thing. Let's reconfigure the thing and see what other kind of fun things we can create. I love that so very much. And I think my brain may have been saying, you're a little bit bored with the standard keto. You're a little bit bored with the high fat situation because there's only so much you could do and you have more creativity you want to exercise. So it's like my brain diverted over and said, oh, what can we play around with protein and create today? It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for my brain. And I'm so appreciative that Amy came through and just like said it out loud. I was on FaceTime with her and I was like, this is what you have done to me and I am living for it. All right, Peebs Love, you went higher protein and feel like you've stalled. You felt so much better. Higher energy and weight loss was stable on higher fat. Okay, I want to say this. I'm not necessarily interested in actual fat or in actual weight loss. I'm way more interested in feeling like my muscles are strong and feeling like I'm not holding on to extra unnecessary fuel stores and converting them over to muscle. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of working out again to make that a thing, but I'm also gonna need to make the insulin stop. That's what I'm gonna have to do. All right, let's see here. Higher protein, everything, okay. Oh, thank you, Kimberly, for letting me know that I'm still doing all right with the not cutting in and out. Sylvia, you're thinking the same things. You had a stall 7 months ago. 3 months ago, you upped your protein and lowered the fat. And the last month, joint pain and some swelling is returning. Yeah, it's so hard. And you think like, oh, I found a key. But was it? And this is where the whole variable of the equation thing is coming back into play. Like, maybe the variable I should not have played with was the amount of fat. And I never counted fat to begin with. I never have. Never. I've always thought about the protein, especially within the past 3 years. I need to think about the protein, but I need to think about it along with my carbs. And I need to just eat fat. I just need to eat the fat, just the fat. Let's just chew the fat. All right, here we go. Keto hunters, you're headed back happily because you are not a huge protein fan anyway. Look at you. That's exciting for you. It's going to be a bit of a struggle for me because my husband, he used to work for a protein snack company, a beef jerky company, and we had unlimited access to all the protein. Briar Rose, your protein is only 52 grams because of how short you are. Your food looks like enough to feed a baby and not very solid. That's fantastic. AK, you felt best when you did quote unquote true keto back in 2020. Blaze Becker, you take your ideal weight in pounds, divide it by 2.2 to find a starting point for protein in grams. Start there and check. Yes, that's basically what I did. Oh, Sherry, thank you so much for the super chat. I've never had one before. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. Thank you. You have had cellulitis for over 2 weeks. You were able to freak your doctor out. Ketosis has that funky taste and smell, so worth it to make this infection go away. Yes, 100% agree. When I was on legitimate high fat, low carb, and moderate protein, I didn't have all this nastiness. I mean, it's only one zit, but from someone who used to have awful acne as a teenager and an adult, like getting one now feels like insurmountable. Keto hunters, ice cream, so much ice cream. Yeah, I'm about to figure it all out. I'm about to refigure it all out because not even figure it out. I'm just about to go back to all the things I used to do. I'm gonna go dig up all of my old recipes that I was using, that I was working with and all that. And it's gonna come back and we're gonna see what happens. Sherry, it's hard to wrap your head around it. Fat is where it's at. Yes. Sherry, I think you need to make a t-shirt with that. Fat is where it's at, 100%. I would buy that shirt. Ice cream, yep. 4 yolks, butter, and water in the creamy, yummy ice cream. That sounds divine. Oh, thanks, Sherry. My skin is, overall, like this lighting is real bad. I never wear face makeup ever. I only wear like mascara and eyeshadow, and it is what it is. And I'm not really, I'm not interested in covering it up, but I am interested in solving the problems. It's a clear indicator that my face is unhappy with something. Right, Rose? Zits are traumatic. Truth. Yes. Amy, yes. So I have not watched Amy's high fat ice cream just yet. She told me though that she ate it all and it was practically a cup of heavy cream. And I'm like, huh? My brain is having to go through and rework it and get back in the right way. And it's just one of those things. And I've talked about this multiple times on my channel over the past how many years? I started my channel like July of 2017. So I'm coming up on like 5 years here of doing the YouTubes and sharing. And I've mentioned in the past, like, I just need to go back to the basics. I just need to go back. I need to revert back to what I know works. The problem is I get shiny new syndrome. Like I want to, like shiny object, something new, something different. Oh, this person did this thing that struck an idea in my head to go a totally different way. I want to try it out. And then I get totally derailed. Well, we're back at the station. The train in my brain is back at the station and we're getting put back on the right track so that we can at least test this out. I just want to try it out, go back to what I know worked for me in the beginning and see what my body does. We're 6.5 years later. That's where we are. And Blaze, you said you went back to end of 2019, early 2020 to look at what you were doing then. You had lost 70 pounds, felt really good, got rid of all of your joint pain. It's in line with Dr. Boz's method, back to higher fat. I think we're gonna create a little bit of a wake in our driving through these waters. You know, PSMF is super fun and super cool, and there's so many different things your brain can do, and I love thinking about things from a different perspective or trying to reimagine the way things could be, and then trying it out. I've always been just like a try it out. You can't learn unless you try. And now that I've gone all these different routes, you know, Trim Healthy Mama, I didn't like the carbohydrate meals that they do. I loved the fat meals, but I didn't like the carb meals. And I felt like I was always starving. Can I get anybody? Can anybody let me know if I am back? I don't even know. Briar Rose, PSMF sounded wrong from the moment you heard it. Oh no, buffering. Yeah, hopefully it's back. Oh, praise God, it's back. Okay. Keto Hunters, you make the PSMF bread and add butter. Well, see, and that's the other piece. Like I've been doing the PSMF bread, but I've always added fat back into it. And my thing now is I'm going to have to, if I want to use it, continue to slice it rather thin, and I'm going to need to slather it with all the fats. Over in Scotland, when they make sandwiches, they take their bread and they smear butter on it and then put the stuff and things on it. And I'm like, that is so bizarre. Why wouldn't you use mayonnaise? But then they also can kind of like add other condiments and whatnot. And I'm like, that no longer seems bizarre to me. Let's add all the fat, all the butter to all the sandwiches, henceforth and forevermore. I had my eggs this morning and I did, my favorite way to do eggs right now is hard-boiled eggs that I then slice in half and I fry them. And I've had numerous questions and comments before when I show that. It doesn't really do anything different other than warm them up and change a little bit of the exterior texture, gives it a little bit of a crispy texture. It kind of browns the butter on them. It's delicious. And they're warm. And in the breakfast hours, I don't want to eat cold hard-boiled eggs. I want to eat warm hard-boiled eggs. And I can slather them up with my mayonnaise that I make, and I can slather them up with a bunch of sriracha, although now I'm gonna have to measure that out a little bit more carefully. I hate measuring, I hate tracking, I genuinely do. Yet, I am finding that sometimes to figure out what's best, you gotta go back and really assess carefully what you are actually doing. And I was trying to say earlier, I think I distracted my own self because that's a thing. I don't necessarily want to lose more weight. I do want to reconstruct what I have. And I have too much extra storage of energy. And I feel like that means I've lost some muscle mass somewhere because I've maintained the weight for however long. Like I have not gone up, I have not gone down. Blaze says you use chaffles instead of the PSMF bread. That is a great idea. Now that we've gotten partially moved in, I think I might, you know, I might try to jump on that train. My problem is that I just don't like the waffle texture. Like the holes in the waffles, just, I don't know. It's a mental thing at that point for me. I mean, like, let's just be clear. 100% of these issues are 100% in my brain. I crave all of the protein because of all the insulin spikes, which lights up the brain and tells me, oh, dopamine, it feels so good. It's not what I need. It's not what I need. We're going back to the fat. Fat is where it's at. Bring back the fat. So anyway, go on, baby. I am gonna have to call it there because clearly my tiny humans require my assistance. And this has been super fun. I really appreciate y'all. And I hope to get to do this again soon. I'll see you in the next video or live.